All right, so today, what do we got? A couple penguins. These guys are always hanging around. And, well, we got this piece of strop material here, and the topic is, linen, cotton, fabric, whatever you want to call it, strops. Do I need them? Do I use them? Do I have to use them? Whatever else, these questions come up all the time. And so I figured I'd just touch base and talk about it. And I want to come right out of the gate and say, there's no hard and fast rules. Whatever materials you choose to work with, however you choose to work with it, that's up to you. All right. Me, I use fabric strop every day. This is my strop. You heard me unclip it from my bench, right? So I have fire hose type 1 on one side, and I have fire hose type 2 on the back. Kind of modified bobber ends. That's my thing. That's what I use every day. Now, before I had that material, I was using this. Very good stuff. It's from Kaniyama. This leather piece on the end is kind of like reminiscent of what I'm doing, or mine is reminiscent of this actually, but this is peeling up. It's kind of glued on, but it still works. And anyway, so you hear it? It's a good coarse fabric. I believe it's some kind of cotton base, like a burlap or something. I don't know. Yeah, and it works pretty well. I really liked it. Certainly before that, there were a lot of other materials. I had poly, I had types of cotton, I had some linen from different people, and nothing really got me really happy, like the fire hose did. And most of I make strops, so I make a variety of different types of linens, and of course I make the fire hose strops. So that's that. I also make others. People ask me all the time, like, what's the deal? What do you use? When do you use it? And so on and so forth. Now, forgive me if I'm a little scattered. It's Sunday. It's like, I don't know, springtime. It's the end of February. I feel like we're heading into April, and March is just a pile of numbers at this point. It's almost like we're jumping like right over half a season. So I'm a little, discombobulated. Anyways, so back to stropping. I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of questions, and I usually say the same thing: no hard and fast rules. Pick something, work with it, see if you like it. I use the fire hose. The type 1 is my favorite, and it does a great job for me. I've read some contrarian remarks from people on forums where they're like, well, I don't experience any difference. Okay, fine, good. What can I tell you? I do. A lot of other people do also. So for the handful of people that claim that they don't feel a difference from one material to another or whatever, I think a lot of it is like personal, private agenda shit, and whatever, closed-mindedness, bunch more internet crap. So anyway. So let me just start somewhere, right? So this is one of my cotton strops. These are almost disposable in my mind. They're not that expensive. They're 2 inches wide. They're 100% cotton, made in the USA. And yeah, I use these too. Here, I got one next to my bench. Here's the one I use, right? You see it has my white paste all over it. And that's what I use these for mostly, is the pasting. That strop there is actually there for tuning up, help me tune up one of my edges. Yeah, that's nice, just cut myself. On this puppy, Higo no Kami. And yeah, it's sharp as hell, because there you go. Just nicked myself, all right? And when it gets dull, I run it over that strop, and it brings the edge right back. And when I have to, I put it on a stone. I go back and I recreate the geometry and install it all over again. But if I'm in the middle of doing some work and I need that edge and it's just not there, that paste will help bring it up. Now, there are people, excuse me, I'm taping my wound. There are people who use the pastes to tune up razors the same way, and I've done that, and it's, I sell the paste. It's not my thing. I do it like if I want to, but never because I have to, because I always hone. But for people who don't want to always hone, the pastes they're a miracle cure. So these cotton strops are great for that. They're also great after you shave for drying your blade. I believe the cotton does the best job for drying out of everything, even the fire hose. And that's why I have a piece of cotton in the bathroom, for just that purpose. And then I might use the hose afterwards or not, or just, before the next shave. And like I say, I use the fire hose every day. There are days I forget, so the rule of thumb is that I use it, but I'm not perfect. All right, so there's that. Another strop setup that I haven't used is this guy. Now this has the 3-inch wide cotton, and I bought this from someone, and I was told it was a vintage material, something from the medical world. I don't know, but that's what I was told. But it is really a wonderful material. It's like super well made, and it just doesn't seem like anything that came from like modern times. This just seems to me to be something that's been kicking around for a while, but who knows, right? And then I have this stuff, which is the heavyweight linen, and this stuff is killer. I love it. I prefer this over the Kaniyama. I prefer the fire hose overall, but this has its own nice fingerprint too, and it's got a nice density. It's nice and thick, and it's got a great sound. The feedback is excellent, So what I would do here is I finish shaving, I go to this material to dry, and then I come to this material for tweaking up the edge, and then I would put the blade away till the next day. Now, you ask, like, what are we doing when we're using these linens? Because we use the leather. Isn't the leather do more, or negate the need for the material? And personally, to me, it's like a 1-2 punch. It's like one thing followed up by the other. So, like, you have the edge, and we dream in our mind the edge is like, let me see if I can go back to drawing this. Yeah. All right, so, we want to imagine that our edge is, this would be the edge here, and then we would have the razor would hollow in there. Okay, so never mind my really bad drawings. So we imagine this to be a straight line, but that's a theory, right? What we really wind up doing is we wind up creating like something, kind of like it's sort of shaped like that, but it's got this. And by stropping, what we do, and this is in my mind's eye. I'm sorry, I don't have SEM photos to back it up, but we do is we're bringing those little fuzzies, into alignment, and give us a nice straighter line. Now it's not perfect. See where my fingers go up and down? Same with your razor. Okay, it's just not a perfect line. I'm sorry, but all the people in the world that are going to tell you that you're making it perfect, you're not. You're doing the best you can, and there are irregularities. What we're doing is minimizing those irregularities, so we can have the smoothest experience possible. We're deadening the sharp edges. That's really like the wrong term, but like here, like you see the disparity in heights. We're softening this line, basically, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so in my mind's eye, the fabric has one fingerprint on the steel, right? And then the leather, has another. And you can hear the differences, of what's going on. And I'll get to that in a sec, between the two materials. There's sound between steel on leather and steel on fabric, two completely different things. So, you might not think that means something, but to me it does, Now this is another linen that I have, and I use this stuff too, and it's a little thin. It's a thinner material, a little more refined. It's got a more refined presentation. It's got this herringbone weave in it. Now, you know, it's not my favorite linen. I carry it and I do use it from time to time. I prefer a thicker material, like, let me see if I can grab a piece of hose. Yeah, here we go. Like this stuff, see how like thick it is, you know? Next to that, you can see, right? I like this a lot, right? This type of material will be favored by someone else that likes a thinner, more flexible type of thing. It has a very good fingerprint on the steel. It's not as aggressive as the hose. It's more aggressive than the cotton. And oh yeah, it's another thing with the cotton stuff. This material, like I love it and all, but it just doesn't seem to have the attack on the edge of the steel or the whatever that the linen fabrics do. Certainly not the fire hose. That stuff is just kick-ass. Just goes right in there and just goes to work. This is a little more aggressive than the cotton, but not quite as much as the what do you call it? The hose. So anyway, I like to pair this up with a piece of leather and make a two component strop. Looks nice, presents well, works really well. And for me, I like everything separate. So while I like to make this as part of a two component strop, for me, I like to have everything hanging on its own hanger. That's just me. So you have them. I showed you a couple of the linens and the cottons. And now my favorite thing is the fire hose, right? So you have this here. You have this. Now, just right here, right now, looking at these two, they look a little different. They are. This is what I call type 1. This is what I call type 2. There are type 2s that look like this, okay? I have not seen a type 1 that looks like this, but anything is possible. The type 2, this stuff, forget the lettering. It's just there. It looks cool, but it doesn't, have anything to do with stropping. Most guys use the back anyway for some reason. I guess they want to keep the lettering intact. This is milder, okay, but it's like still more aggressive than that herringbone stuff or the cotton for sure. This is the most aggressive, and if you look at it under the scope, it's like it's Medusa of like fibers, and I think it's just going after all the little like rogue, bits of steel on the edge that like turn your nice line of edge. You get all these like little moving things, and it just goes in there and it just like lines them all up. And then what I think is, you get to the leather, and then you get this like plastic deformation type of smoothing going on, like a burnishing. That's my interpretation. If it doesn't line up with like what your scientific research, fine, I don't care. This is what I see. This is what I experience. This is what I look at it on my scope, and that's what goes on visually. But more importantly, tactically, practically, real time. Do you have to use a linen? I don't know what anybody has to do. For me, I do. I got to use it because I know what happens when I do use it, and that's what I'm looking for. So when I use the linen, then I go to leather, and I have a really great shaving experience. If I leave the linen out, I compromise. I may get through a day or two without it, but I'm going to eventually go back to it and be like, oh yeah, that's it. I suppose there are going to be, people who feel differently. That's fine. Okay, it doesn't matter. There are people, I guess, they shave and they never use a fabric component. I can't speak for them. I can only speak for me. I use the fabric, linen, then I go leather, and then I'm happy. That might work for you. It might not, I guess. I never met anyone who said they tried it and didn't like it. I have really only come across people that swear by certain materials working and others not doing this, whatever, all that like poobah shit on the internet. Everybody knows best. people performing, trying to exert their, well, I call it the Pied Piper complex. It's where, they got to say something and everyone's got to like fall in line with them. Or then, you have hidden agendas where people are selling stuff and they're just trying to steer you away from somebody else's product. Me, I've tried everything. I've used Tony Miller's linen. It worked great for me. I used the stuff from Scruple Works. It worked great for me. I used Kaneyama's fabric and it worked great for me, and that was my favorite over the two formerly mentioned items. I kept with the Kaneyama for a long time, and then I got myself some hose, and that kicked the Kaneyama to the curb. That's for me. A lot of people bought these things from me, and they're like, yo, this is awesome, so it's not just me. All right. But really, it's not about my fire hose drops. It's just about using linens in conjunction with your leather, like having a more well-rounded approach to shaving and maintaining your blade and your edges. When I was a kid, I remember my grandfather had a fabric strop with his leather one on the door. I remember that. This is not a new thing. It's been around for a long time. Just because of that, I would be inclined to give it a spin. If you haven't, I would suggest getting yourself a linen strop of some kind and get out there and see if it'll work for you. If you get a cotton one, though, and it's not really doing much for you, yeah, I get that. That I would kind of almost expect that to happen because it doesn't really have a heavy fingerprint. Unless you have, like, something with a really, really coarse weave to it, like the Kaneyama. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch the camera position around and just do a little stropping on the different fabrics so you can hear them, get a little bit of an audible on it, and that'll be it. So hold on, stay tuned. All right, as promised, we're back. Camera position has changed. I'm just going to do short little bit of stropping on some of the different materials so you can get an audible on it. Anyway, so 1955, dated right there. Type 1 fire hose, right? And I'll go back around as 1970s Type 2. Alright. So let me unclip that. I'll put on the Kaneyama. Yeah, like my wound. Yeah, that Higo, man, the edge on that thing is no joke. No joke, man. This is very broken in piece of Kaneyama. This is the 3-inch wide. See, the 3-inch stuff is nice because it just goes like right across, but you can do X strokes and cover your blade with the 1-inch material. So anyway, that's a 3-inch wide herringbone. And this puppy, this is the 3-inch heavyweight linen. This thing is messing with my finger. Yeah, my makeshift band-aid is causing me some grief with stropping, and then the cotton. And now, last but not least, the 2-inch wide cotton. Not too bad. Feels good. This is a really heavyweight cotton. This is like mil-spec stuff. Actually came surplus. Good strap. I like it actually a lot. Just have a lot of different materials out here. So I go with this, as I've mentioned. This is my stuff. This is it. This is my strap. I use this all the time. I had a 1950s fire hose Type 1, and then I had this idea to put the Type 2 on the back and make a dual component, and so this is my strap now. Retired the other one. It's the benefit of making straps. You can just phase them in and out at will. Anyway, so that's it. Have fun and keep on stropping.